straight through and under the post, the Army hit back. And it's straight over for a try, early doors for the Navy. That ball goes out wide, it is going to be another try for the RAF.
Hello and welcome to match week 2 of the men's Inter-Services Rugby League tournament. We know we're in for a really physical Army v Navy battle, but what happened last week, match week 1, down in Portsmouth?
Unfortunately, it wasn't the best of passes.
Ooh.
It's landed well.
He said it's clear.
He's away.
That's Dak. Oh, legs,
well done.
legs. Oh, that deserved to come off. Oh, lovely takeout there on the right, and that's the first score to the Royal Navy. The band of brothers have done what they promised to do. Jack Hartnett there in the middle.
He spread it a bit.
Prescott through the middle, and that's going to be a score. That commentator's curse did not happen. That is a score for the RAF. Kieran Prescott absolutely slicing up the Navy defence, and it's even Stevens here, Burnaby Road. Bradley with a little grabber kick through, and he's going to take it himself! And the captain, Liam Bradley, has scored for the Royal Air Force. He's been doing those grabber kicks quite a lot this evening, but the light blues have gone ahead. It is 10-4 to the RAF. And the Navy have got it, they're going to go over for their second! Oh, the RAF are annoyed about that, but that was another opportune try by the Royal Navy. That came out of absolutely nothing, Richie.
I didn't see that coming.
Balls off. Oh, hands on hips from the Royal Navy. And they've pulled it, and the RAF have won. They have won here at Burnaby Road. They have beat the two-time reigning champions, the Royal Navy, 12 points to 8. And it's not over for the Royal Navy. They've still got a game against the Army, but they were looking for 3 consecutive titles, and the Light Blues have properly spoilt their party on their home ground. The RAF have won 12 to 8.
So the Navy come here having tasted defeat for the first time in a long while, but their opponents, the Army, are adopting a new mentality, a one-team mentality, as I found out when I went to see them earlier this week in Leconfield.
For the camera! For the camera!
The highlight of the year, finishes the season off as well. So yeah, definitely main focus, I would say, for all 3 teams definitely is winning Inter-Services. That's the main goal. Our main strength is we've got good strength in depth all the way across from the first team all the way across the academy. So this week we've got like nearly 50 players down, and we still don't know who's going to be playing academy and who's going to be playing first team. So competition for places is massive. So people are turning up in training and doing what they need to do. Yeah, strength in depth.
Gone are the days now where players are tipping up and just guaranteed shirts. We're asking them questions and the players are responding really well.
And obviously that means a chance for the young players as well to make an impact and come into the team. I know you've got, as I say, experience with the development team as well. We saw them on Armed Forces Day beat the Royal Marines, very good performance. I'm guessing we're going to see a few of those infiltrated in now into the team.
Yeah, there's going to be some academy players that will step up that have been with us for a couple of seasons now, and rightly so. They're challenging these senior players for shirts, and hopefully you'll see some of them on Sunday.
As captain, what would it mean for you if over the 2 games the Army get 2 wins and they go on to be Inter-Services champions, you'd get to lift the trophy. What would that mean for you?
Yeah, it'd be an absolute honour. It's an honour to captain the team as it is, but to go on and win the Inter-Services, like I said earlier, that's the main goal for the season. That's all we want to do. All the other wins on the way are good, but Inter-Services, that's our main effort. So yeah, lifting that trophy can't be a better feeling.
OK then, time to wrap up a brilliant day of rugby league here in Hull with the Army versus Navy men's match. We've got an Army versus Navy commentary team too, headed up by BFBS Sports' Kath Brazier.
Well, good afternoon from a still very misty Hull. We're at Craven Park, of course, the home of Super League giants Hull Kingston Rovers, and it has cleared a little bit during the day, but quite honestly can't see the Humber from here. See a lot of industrial estates, which is lovely, and very sort of rural on the left hand side, but we do know we're in the, having had a week in Portsmouth, we're now in the heartland of rugby league. I feel a little bit out of my depth, probably more so than I did in Portsmouth, which is more home to me. But the beauty of today is we haven't paid him any money, but we have persuaded Richie to come back after not only having to endure commentary last week, but also, unfortunately for you, a Navy loss. But we are in the heartland of rugby league, and although I know you are Royal Navy, and you know we're based down south a lot, it does feel like we've come home a little, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does do. It will do for the players as well. There'll be a lot more friends and family coming to watch today. It's closer to home. And we're in a proper rugby league stadium. Hull are flying in the Super League at the moment, so hopefully we can, some of the success from Hull can rub off on us. We need to do a job today. We need to put the wrongs right from last week, and I'm sure they can if they're focused. But the Army are going to be a really strong test.
Do you think that'll be what it is that the Navy will have after the disappointment of last week? Because they weren't out of it at all. It was a really close game, but they may feel that they sort of let it go a little bit in the last 15. But will they come out stronger, or is there a little bit of sort of nerves as well? Because it's on the line.
It's on the line. They have to score big today and hope that the Army don't score big either, because it's still on. Points difference can win this championship for them. Losing to the RAF in the first game is always a strange feeling, and the Navy were in it for quite a lot of the time last week, but I just don't think they did the right things in the right places. They tried to spread too early, too wide. They didn't earn the right to get into those areas where they could score and really cause some damage. They had to settle with a yellow card, so they were down to 12 men for some time as well. I've been there in the past where we've lost the first game. The squads have turned around a lot, as is the case today. There's a lot of players injured and people having to go away on operations. And you do find that there's the lads bounce back and they put in a strong performance. There's some notable mentions today. It's Ben Taylor's last ever game for the Royal Navy Rugby League,
right. Gosh.
Which not a lot of people know. It's been kept under wraps for obvious reasons.
Wow, okay, that's huge.
It's huge for him. It's huge for us. We're going to be losing an incredible player, an incredible person. He'll probably go down in history as one of the, if not the best, Royal Navy Rugby League captains.
I think also because he seems to be so much more than rugby league. I mean, this is brand new information to me, so I'm just processing at the moment. But Buck Taylor has just been synonymous, not just with Royal Navy Rugby, but UK Armed Forces Rugby as well. Yeah. He's such a baby face. He looks about 12, and we know how experienced he is. But with the Yorkshire Pros, like his sort of, I feel like he represents the Royal Navy and Great Britain wherever he goes.
I think he represents Royal Navy. He represents the armed forces. The ethos of the person in the armed forces. We only found out a few years into his career that he actually enjoyed poetry.
Yeah.
Him and Jay Steele actually would do the odd prose together, and then it just grew from there. But it's his last game today. He's had his wife and his daughter present his shirt to him in the changing rooms.
Wow.
He did. I'm told he didn't cry, but he was very close to.
You look like you're close to him.
Do you know what? He's a friend first and foremost, but he's always been such an incredible player, and he's going to be a huge loss.
It is, and as the teams come out, we're hearing a massive cheer from the crowd that we've got here at Craven Park. So let's just look at the teams quickly. First of all, if we can bring up the Army. We'll talk about the Navy in a minute, but any names on that list that sort of stick out to you? Mitchie, to me as well, you know, an international rugby league player. There are names that jump out to me.
Yeah, you're going to have to look out for the pack today, to be honest with you. And for me, you know, people like Hoppers and MacDonald are going to have a really good game. The strength and size of the Army is where they're going to need to really put the Royal Navy under pressure. So those guys, for me in particular.
We've touched on Ben Taylor. Obviously, he's going to be crucial in any game. I'm still shocked to hear this news. But it's so like him to sort of modestly keep it quiet.
Well, that's exactly that. Yeah.
But we've had a couple of not changes, but shirt changes, and I think they are correct now. But any other names that jump out for you from Royal Navy, particularly ones that shone last week?
Well, last week, people who shone for me, Tex, you know, he's on the bench, so they've moved into the bench. I think what they want to see from him is more impact. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you saw last week, the Navy got into a rhythm but then lost that halfway through the first half. I think you'll see today when he comes on, they'll want him to make an impact. Same with Charlie Mattison. They've moved James Tilley out from hooker to halfback to try and settle that middle third. And although he's wearing 7 on the team sheet, he'll be wearing 9 today.
Right.
Jack Ray again. The front row for me last week didn't really shine.
Okay.
They didn't earn the right to get into those areas, and they're going to have to today.
And also looking at that team sheet, I mean, it's funny because I called Texas Tribe, but actually we weren't entirely sure, were we? But it was afterwards that you checked with him.
Yeah, I think it was
the boots.
Yeah, it was.
Just looking now at the moment, the teams are being presented, and we've got a legend of rugby league who has been presenting the prizes. Tell me a little bit about the legend, the GB legend that we've got presenting prizes today.
Jamie Jones Buchanan, yeah, quite literally a legend. His father or his granddad, I think, was a submariner. So again, there's a little bit of an omen there. Hopefully the Navy.
So the national anthem's here at Craven Park ahead of Army versus Navy, second week of Inter-Services Rugby League. A rousing rendition then of God Save the King here at Craven Park. And I mean, from your experience, Richie, what is the step? I mean, I've got nothing against Burnby Road. It's actually very convenient for us. And yeah, it's a well-kept ground, and the Navy always they love playing there. But what is it when you get to play at somewhere like here or St Helens or one of the Super League clubs? It must be something, a real experience. It
does feel special. There's a certain aura about playing at Super League, at Super League grounds. The pitch is in great condition. The facilities are fantastic. To us, it really don't think about it too much as a player because it's a patch of grass. I know that again, it's very cliche, but players don't get wrapped up too much in it. But some of the guys who are fresh to rugby league, fresh to the inter-services, it might add a little bit of spice. But the players won't be thinking about that. The players just want to come out today and put a good score on the Army. Both sides, to be honest, want to come out and just put on a good show.
And it's the Army who will have the first kick-off here at Craven Park. And not as misty as it was earlier. We did fear that we might not be able to see the players at some point. But again, I'm going to ask you, I think we started with this last week, but this first 5 minutes for both teams will be huge.
It has to be. Unfortunately...
Was that Ben Taylor? Has it gone to his head?
Curse, no. They have to exert some dominance and try and, put the wrongs right from last week. For me, they have to finish a good set. They have to work their way up a channel, which you'll try and see them use this channel. For me, I think they just need to settle into it. Once they find their rhythm, the halfbacks will start playing.
The Army women, my commentator, my colleague Kyle noticed in the women's game, the Army women play very wide, whereas the Navy were a little more compact. Do you think we'll see the Army using the width a bit more? Though actually the Navy played quite wide last week, didn't they?
Yeah, and I think that was part of the problem. The
Right.
Navy tried to play too wide too early. You've got to try and squeeze the defence, tighten them up so that you've got a shape to run at outside in a channel. And if you just go wide early and go too fast, nice and wide, it's sometimes it's easier to actually defend.
Okay.
Because if you're in the middle as a defender, you just know the ball's going to shift, so you shift your defence.
The Army then in possession at the minute from the kick. Unfortunately, there was a knock-on by the Navy, but the ball's been spilled by the men in red, and the Navy, well, they'll be looking to clear their lines, I'm sure. They've got a few. I mean, I know the Navy have got a couple of fast wingers yourselves, but the Army have got a good Fijian contingent in there, haven't they?
Yeah, you look at the shape when they start to shape up here. You've got a centre and a winger on one side of Fijian, and then the same on the other side. Listen, we've got players who are used to that. It doesn't scare you so much, but you do sometimes. You're a little bit apprehensive of flying into them, but they give as much as they get.
Absolutely, I'm in no way. But it's a reputational thing for Fijians, but same in rugby union. You sort of think they've got this little bit of flair that I don't know where they get from, but possibly from their island water. I'm not sure.
But often at times flair does come with unpredictability.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But also a bit unreliable at times as well. It's flair when it's flair, but if it's flair and it's rubbish, then
if it's flair in the wrong places, it's useless.
Yeah.
The Army seem to be getting really dominant tackles at the moment, and for me, I'm concerned if I'm a Navy player. But that's a good little kick. He's putting it into a corner. He's found grass, and there's a really good chase here, and a good tackle. I'd be happy with that set. There's a bit of confidence there from the Navy. Now just try and defend nice and tight. Good hits and numbers in tackle.
And how much do you think fatigue played into the game last week, and how much will they have tried to counteract that this week as well?
Fatigue obviously plays a part. They need to use the substitutes well. I don't think they did that much last week, but you had the problem last week where they had an injury and a yellow card in the first quarter, so it was really hard to get a grip on the game early. That's a really good kick from the Army. We need to be aware of that. If you're going to kick early, you want to find a nice deep kick, and for me, I'd be happy with that if I was an Army player.
The Royal Navy then, reigning champions for the last 2 years, but obviously we can't write them off yet, but they did lose to the RAF in the opening week. The RAF, who've been a really promising side for the last few years. I would say the Army have been mixed for the last few years. They look really strong on paper, but often they've. I would say for the last few years they've struggled to really kind of pull it all together. Yeah,
and it's a cliche. It's what happens on the day. It's the 13 guys who go out there, and they really have to gel nice and early. And I think the Navy have just played together a lot more across different games in different environments, and I think they settle a lot quicker than the Army do. So hopefully that'll stand us in good stead.
And the Army as well, I was talking to their head coach before the game started, well actually before the ladies' game this morning, and he was saying that the Army now have a joined up approach between them and the academy side. Oh, Army being forced to run backwards there.
That was unlucky. It's a great kick again. I think
great
the move,
pressure from
the move from James Tilley into halfback is definitely working. He's got a lot more composure. And it's probably an older head. He's played in St Helens. Yeah. So he's a real class act.
Oh, he made such an impact last week, didn't he?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So the Army were telling me for their academy side, because it's not an age-defined side, they're training as one squad, and then they just split the two teams. So there's a lot more togetherness, and I think that's come as a result of last couple of years where they've not probably shown themselves very well, and they wanted to. It'd be interesting to see. So it's not like in rugby union where they play an under 23 defined side. It's just now an academy side. It's a good way to approach it.
Yeah, I think with the Army, it came from just the sheer numbers they've got.
Right.
It's
I think 50 turned up to training or something. Yeah.
They're having to turn away players. We're doing the same. We're similar, but because of the size, naturally, of our armed forces, the Navy's at probably about 32,000, I think, last check. The Army are at nearly 3 times that. So it's just sheer numbers. So what we tend to do is we'd play together, we'd train together, because you can't afford to keep people separated. Guys need to come in and feel comfortable.
Yeah.
The pace definitely steps up.
And it also means that you've got a consistency in coaching as well, as the Navy are little dancing feet there and making their way towards the try line. Right, in Tilly's hands, lovely ball out to the left, and now he's got space. But it's been late ball there.
that was the right thing to do.
Yeah,
the right thing to do. He's took it to the line, and I think so. In 2 players there, you've seen exactly why they've changed the players around from half-back to hooker. You've got Hooker Birdie jumping. He's getting a quick play of the ball. He's actually engaging the A-man defender. And then you've got Tilly, a little bit of an old head, taking it to the line and committing players. And that's what gives us the space. And last week, I think we just didn't do that. And hopefully this week, there's a little bit more composure, and we can keep in this area of the field and really force the Army back into their own red zone.
I mean, that was actually great defence from the Army as well, because he just read the ball.
Yeah, he did. You're allowed to in rugby league. You're allowed to do that in rugby union. That would probably be a yellow card.
I think, yeah. Oh, lovely line there. The Navy definitely on the up here in the first 5 minutes of this. Oh, well, gosh, we're nearly 7 minutes in of this second fixture in the Senior Men's Inter-Services Rugby League of 2024. Loose ball there, gathered up by the Royal Navy.
The Navy definitely have better shape at the moment. The Army are putting a lot of men into the tackle. Look, they're 4. Yep. If the Navy can keep this shape and try and get to the edge outside C defender, I think there's some value in that. See, they're going out the back and trying to push to the edge, which is really good.
Oh, lovely ball out. But the Army, they're in force, in droves. Coming from nowhere. End of the set there. Hopeful ball forward. Oh, lovely take by Tilly. Is that Tilly down?
That's Tilly.
That was lovely. It was felt like a bit of a kick to nothing, but like you said, the old head James Tilly there, grabbing the ball from. Oh gosh, he had 3 men on him. So congratulations, and the Navy are first on the scoreboard. They're 4-0 up. Does he score many tries, James?
He does. He normally scores one from about 2 yards out where he'll sneak
push
over.
Yeah.
But I like that kick option.
That was lovely, and they were a bit blinded. I mean, he was lucky to get that, but it was a bit blinded by the post.
It's hard to defend around that post area, especially with a kick, and it's sometimes why you'll see players do those kicks towards the posts. You'd often have a fullback coming through and sweeping that. I don't think the Army really had any shape there. The kicks often will go at a bit more shallow trajectory, and it's really hard to see the ball coming in. And when you've got 3 or 4 Navy lads running at you,
you've also got and two or three Army lads as well. Successful kick there for Ben Connor, and the Navy are 6-0 up. And well, that'll put some heads up. In particular, the Army, because I think anyone would want that first score just to get the momentum going. But that was a nice bit of flair there from the Royal Navy as we were talking about it. A really well-placed kick in the end. Like I said, it looked like he was almost going for goal, but obviously he'd seen Tilly move. And a score for the Royal Navy. So we're 7 minutes in, and it is, gosh, we're 10 minutes in. Time flies when you're having fun, Richie.
I'm having fun today at the moment.
Sure. He has to say that.
Yeah, I have to say.
We're a bit. I don't know whether Brownie's stuck on the M62. Apparently, it's closed today. So, but we were supposed to have a double header of the Army Navy on the pitch, and then we had Richie and Kev Brown, who many of you will remember, who commentated for us on the Challenge Cup game when the Army played for Royston Warriors earlier this year. And let's say he was very popular.
Okay.
And got a lot of comments out of it, and has probably had to buy a few crates. And we were led to believe that Brownie was here today, so maybe he'll do like a flare turn up at half time. But I'm very happy that you're here, Richie, because if it was just me, I think we'd struggle.
I'm happy that we're winning at the moment.
Oh yeah.
As long as that stays that way, I'll be quite happy to give Brownie some stick when he turns up.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was worried about. I thought I'd have to stand between you to stop any fights, but. Yeah, Brownie, I mean, I think it's not enough. I think they call Buck Taylor Mr. Rugby League, but Brownie does seem to bleed rugby league.
Yeah, there's certain lads in the military. It's their life, you know, it's their identity.
Yeah.
Some really good work here from the Royal Navy. They're starting to use that channel, trying to pull the defence in nice and tight, and hopefully we'll get a nice kick out of this. Pushing to the edge, which is really good.
Really lovely, great
Good
tackle there.
A little bit of afters there.
That's Mitchie from the Army. Lovely kick forward there by Tilly. Into space, but goes into touch.
So what Tilly's trying to do there is, you know, changes the trajectory on the ball.
Mm-hmm.
So he's hanging quite high, and rather than putting it into a corner, and you'll see they've got a really good chase. There's 3 or 4 lads going after it, and sometimes when you're defending a kick like that, you don't quite know where the ball's going to land, and they step off it and they wait for it to bounce, which is probably the worst thing to do, because
which is just what they did.
It's
yeah,
exactly what you've just seen.
Yeah, he seemed to pinpoint it between 2 players, and there was a bit of confusion about if anyone should take it, but the Army then with a new set from within their own half. Does Army Navy Rugby League spark as much excitement as Army Navy Rugby Union, or is it just generally inter-services rugby league?
I think in the players it definitely does. In the fans, maybe not so much, because it just hasn't had that stable home. I think that's the difference. You know, there's a bit of a pilgrimage for Royal Navy Rugby Union every year to Twickenham, so you know it's going to be there. You plan for it. I think what the Army are trying to do is bring it to Super League grounds in the north to try and create that kind of, you know, that consistent game.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think if they can, and it stays here, or they find another ground and it stays there, it will grow. But you know, I think this was up until last Friday was supposed to be at Warrington,
and it was at St Helens before that.
St Helens before that, you know. So if they can find a bit of consistency, then it definitely will happen.
Yeah.
Sundays doesn't help, but you know, you're at the mercy of Super League and Super League grounds. So.
Absolutely, and of course they had matches on Friday and Saturday, so they've had to cater, and we're all very thankful that we're here at Craven Park. We get a proper filming gantry as the Army makes some inroads into the Royal Navy defence here, and they've gone wide. Oh, lovely take. Oh. Jake Baldman there, nearly with a slick take on the right wing, but didn't quite go to hand.
It started to look like the Army had some good shape, but what they didn't do is take it as close to the line as you'd like and commit the defenders. So the Navy just sat off and drifted off them. They didn't need to commit. And then at the very end, the fullbacks come in the wrong place. And, you know, it's just bread and butter for your winger when that happens.
Yeah, and to be honest, if they'd gone to hand, I think that was pretty close to going over. So, a reset for the Royal Navy. A reminder, of course, that there'll be no tournament decided here, either in the women's game. Earlier, the Royal Navy Academy won their second game, so they are inter-services champions from this year. And we've just seen the Army women completely dominate the Royal Navy women, 52 points to nothing, even though there was a resurgence of Royal Navy in the second half, and they managed to staunch the flow from the Army, but it was all a little bit too late, and so no tournament decision in that game or in this game. That will go to the final week in Wakefield, which will see the RAF, who of course beat the Royal Navy men last week, and well, depending on this result, of course, I guess the Navy will look to win it and win it by a margin, so that depending on the result next week, they've still got an outside chance.
Yeah, that's what you hope to. We need to get some points on the board if that's going to happen. But it's still early. I think we're still trying to find our feet a little bit.
Yeah.
The Army are doing the same, and I think the Army are just getting it to their biggest players out wide and hoping for the best.
We've had a couple of comments on our BFBS Forces News Facebook channel, just from John Douglas. He says, "Come on, Army." And, well, DAA TV, I'm not sure that's a friend of Inter-Services Rugby, but they just say go. I know.
Okay.
I know. Okay. We have had a message from Mr. Brown on the Forces News YouTube. He's watching online. Unfortunately, his little boy had to go to the dentist.
Okay.
He says, "Had to be a dad, sorry, but I'm defo there next week." Brownie, I'm so sorry. I didn't want to badmouth you. Thank you so much for coming on and telling us where you are. By all accounts, he said the M62 is absolutely a horrendous load stuck. So there you go. Traffic information, bit of family information on the Brown. So sorry, Brownie. I'm really sorry you're not here, and I'm really glad you're watching. And Rich is quite pleased because at the moment the Navy are in the lead, and he wanted to give you some grief.
Yeah, I'd never thought I'd see the day Brownie was the 2 fairy, but there we go.
I love that. Had to be a dad. So when he commentated, sorry, we'll just go back to rugby league for a minute. As didn't quite go to hand there for the Royal Navy. Yeah, when he commentated on the Challenge Cup game earlier this year, he had his little boy there, and he was being a great dad, but also being a great commentator. So. So 6-0 here, the Royal Navy in the ascendancy for now, but the Army in possession. And we're at week 2 of Inter-Services Rugby League. We've seen a win for the Royal Navy Academy side today, and that makes them champions for this year. And we've seen a win for the Army women over the Royal Navy women. That means it's all to play for at Wakefield next week between the Army and the RAF.
Ben Taylor's playing funny there. It was a really good tackle. What's really good to see from the Navy at the moment is the numbers in tackle and the dominance. They're turning the players on their backs. They're getting the Army on their backs, not that one, but others. And it's just helping the Navy set their defence, which they didn't have last week, the RAF. I'll say this, dominated them in defence.
I mean, how I say how closely, but I'm sure the Army will have used the game from last week in their build-up.
Yeah, no doubt, absolutely. And they'd be silly not to, but it is really just what... That's unfortunate.
Really bad mistake there. So close to the Army line, and that'll go out.
I think the referee's called him offside, actually.
Yeah. So no score there for the Army. It's coming back.
So I think we got away with that one, actually, as the Navy. The advancing attacking player from the Army was offside, and so the knock-on wasn't called. We'll take that.
Yeah, that was it's a pretty good result there for the Royal Navy, it has to be said. Tiffany Coombs says, "Happy birthday, Jake Boardman. Make him do a yard." I assume that means a yard of ale, not a yard on the rugby league pitch. So there we go. That's news to me as well. It's Jake Boardman who is the Army number 1. It is his birthday. Brownie. We've now got Brownie just commentating on line, so we'll just leave him to it.
That's good. Oh, that's unfortunate. The Navy definitely look like they're trying to use the channel now. They're trying to squeeze the Army defence.
It definitely feels more like it's definitely been more Navy possession in this first quarter.
Yeah, and it's probably because of the switch in the players. You know, you put Bertie back into hooker and Tilly into halfback.
Yeah.
It just gives a bit more confidence to everyone else around them. I think what happened last week was the ball got to third tackle and they really didn't know where to be or what to do next.
It was interesting that they had that line up last week then, that they did.
Well, you've got a guy who's
Got
played St Helens Super League, you know.
Oh,
We'll take that all day long.
There we
Thank you
go.
very much.
Lovely score from the Navy.
And we're just talking about him, and that is exactly what you get, you know, from a wise old head.
Yeah, he's been integral in both tries.
Yeah.
Lovely place kick, and it was a bit unfortunate. It came off the post, but luckily into Navy hands for the senior service, and they are 10 points up. I'm just checking the replay to see who actually went over.
Tilly looks a lot more settled in that position. The Army don't seem to want to press at him either. They just set off him. He shouldn't be able to get away with a kick like that. But, you know, it's really good that he does, because all the players outside of him know what's coming next. Last week, the kicks were coming, but it wasn't really communicated to the lads outside.
Yeah. It's a fairly simple one for Ben Connor. And that is a full complement of 12 points to the Royal Navy, and what a start they've made. Something they'll need to maintain. But they are up here, and we are well into the second quarter now. It's 12 points to nothing. So Dominic Hull says says go Army, watching in Johannesburg, South Africa. Wow, I love it when we get our international viewers. David Sunaki says come on Army. So a good Mark says come on Navy with an anchor sign, which is always good fun. But yeah, we've got a mix of support here live on the BFBS Forces News YouTube channel. We're also live on the BFBS Forces News Facebook, so do tell us where you're watching from and who you're supporting.
Brodie Lee Butler for the Navy looks like he's having a much better game than last week. Unfortunate last week that they lost Ben Chambers very early in the game, meant that they had to pull their centre to full-back, and Brodie had to go into centre. It's not his national position. He's a second rower, and you can see him getting involved a lot more. He feels more comfortable to get involved. When he comes at the line and what he's just done there, and he puts a bit of footwork on, it's really hard to defend. And it's exactly what you've just seen there. A bit of footwork, catches a lazy arm and gets a penalty. Unfortunate kick, but we'll take it.
And do we know an update on Ben Chambers, what the injury was and how long?
A dead leg.
Okay.
Yeah, a dead leg. I'm not sure they could get him back to full fitness in time. It's quite a quick turnaround. The Army have got an even shorter turnaround this time round.
Yeah.
They'll do Sunday, then Friday.
Yeah, crikey.
Which is really tough.
Yeah. The Navy then being made to work for their 12 points, but they'll be pleased to get quite a hefty cushion on the Army within the first quarter. But they learnt their lesson. Well, they'll need to learn their lesson from last week and not let that lead slide at all. But a lot of space here for the senior service. Lovely hands as well.
That just shows confidence.
Yeah.
The Navy are trying to find in the front a lot more, which gives you a lot better quick play of the ball. I think they could probably be quicker.
Oh, will he power over? Lovely stretch.
Really, that's what we missed from Brownie last week.
Right.
Brownie's a very, very strong player, and if you don't get him early, he'll work through the tackle, and it's exactly what you've seen there.
I mean, he made a good couple of meters there just from pure strength. Dave Brown then with the try for the Royal Navy, and they are, well, I'm not going to say running away with it, but looking at very supremely confident side here at the moment.
Well, this is what we said we need to do. We need to just put everything out there, score as many points as we can, and then hope next week the Army do a job on the RAF and we keep it and we get our 3 in a row.
And what a fitting finish for Ben Taylor that
it would
be.
be.
I'm pretty sure that's maybe why he's kept it quiet, because obviously he would never want it to be all about him. But as we watch Ben Connor again, 2 from 2 so far. Another fairly straightforward, and that's 3 from 3.
It's worth noting 2 other guys who it's their last games for the
Okay.
Navy as well. So
Not all about
I've got
Ben.
them all in the back pocket here. You've got Jack Basher, who will come off the bench. It's his last game for the RNRL, and Louis McKenna as well. So hopefully we get the win for them.
And are they moving on from the Royal Navy, or are they just
I'm not quite sure actually. I think
careers?
Jack Basher may be moving on. I'm not sure about Louis. I know Ben just it's time to finish on the top.
Wow.
So
I think the amount of putting his body on the line.
Yeah,
his body's probably telling him it's time.
Yeah, it does. It does. You get to that point where you hobble into work, or it takes longer to get out of bed, or longer to get over the hangovers, and you just you have to call it. He's got a young family. He's got a fantastic career. It's time to focus on that.
I went for a run yesterday morning, and when I got out of the car, when I got to the office to come up this way, I could barely walk, and that's just from like a 5k run. I do worry about myself. I'm not going to stop running, but it is bad.
Yeah, it gets us all. That's my excuse anyway.
I mean, I did hurt my ankle a few months ago, but I'm sure it used to recover. Sure, it used to recover much quicker. And then I come to a game like this, and I think, I've got nothing to moan about.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. This is just from dominance. The ref is going to. I'm not going to say he's biased towards it, but if you can show that you're dominant in a tackle and you're working hard to get through it, this kind of thing happens. People slip off tackles, and you've got a high shot there.
So will they play for that? I'm not saying it's will they play knowing that kind of not a professional foul, but they'll play for the foul if that try and make the other side foul, if that makes sense.
No, I wouldn't say so. No, I think you definitely, like Brodie earlier, you definitely put on footwork, so you make it harder for him, and you put him in a compromised position. And what you saw there from Dax is that he turned and he used the momentum to his advantage.
Okay.
And then it's just harder for the army defenders to get hold of him. And
got you.
Lo and behold, they give away a penalty.
And really, I mean, what the Royal Navy didn't do was maintain this pressure that they've achieved here in the first half for the second 40 as well.
It looks to me like the Army are starting to get tired. That's a really good
lovely pass. Tilly again out to the left wing.
There's some shape here in the middle if we can get it wider. The Army look tired in the middle, and we just need to get a bit wider onto C. There's a lagging defender there, and I just don't think the pass was good enough. But this is where you want the quick play of the balls. Boys fighting, there's one marker on his back. That's a really good jump.
Navy just inches, but
and yet again,
brilliant high tackle.
What we're seeing here is the Army are tired at their area defenders
and frustrated
and they're leaving space, and the Navy are just jumping very simply into the block hole behind the play of the ball.
And so that's a new set for the Navy, and they're only metres from their line. Ben Taylor there being held. Oh, Butler.
I don't think he wanted that one.
He got rid of it pretty quickly.
A jump here, good.
Oh, so close, but Army have held them up. Oh, nice push, lovely.
Yeah, the Army, I mean, just look at the body language of the Army. You've got guys down on their knees, hands on their knees. They're tired, and the Navy can see that, and there's space around the play of the ball. And if I'm the Army now, I would be pulling everybody in and just saying, look, let's tighten up. Try not to give away those penalties in the defence. Just control the play of the ball, control the speed of the Navy, and the Army will start to get a bit more composure in defence. They're very erratic at the moment, and I just don't think that the communication's there from the middle. There's a guy there, in the middle there. You've got Hooper, he's blowing, he's out. And the Navy can see that, and they'll go at him all day.
And I think that score was Luke Baird, is that right?
Yeah, so he was. I think that was Birdie.
He's-
Yeah, playing hooker.
swapped
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
so playing in the number 7 shirt, and he a lot of Navy pressure, and of course started with the Army being penalised, but the Royal Navy properly in the ascendancy now with their 4th score. Bit of a more difficult one here for Ben Connor from the right wing. And
Unlucky.
3 from 4, but I think he'll be happy that they are 22 up. I'm being told I need to up my miles from 5k to 10k. Wow. I mean,
More pain.
I have run a 10k in my life, but Samisi Matululu is he says, "Let's go boys, watching from Cyprus." Alexander Scruton, great start brothers, keep it up.
Yeah, Old Scruton, old Navy hooker.
There you go.
He's a Skirler lad, so he won't be far away.
So a lot of support for the Army and the Navy here on Forces, BFS Forces News, YouTube and Facebook.
This is what you want from Ben. Commentator's curse.
You've
I should
done it.
keep my
That's
mouth
twice.
shut. I
That's
should keep
twice
my
you've done
mouth
it in a half.
I was just about to say this is what you want from Ben Taylor, running, full pelt at
And
defences.
he gets upended.
And I think he took his eye off the ball and dropped it. He's human.
Well, we
Very
don't want
good.
to see too much chat back from Ben Taylor because he's been sent off for that before. So that wouldn't be a very ceremonious last game.
We've all been there, Cal.
I was sent off in a daughters versus fathers lacrosse game
Wow.
once. There you go.
Oh, that's great.
Big runner there.
I mean, it's big runners, but it's one up. There's no one pushing with him, and it's easy for the defence. And they've got him on his back. It's a slow play of the ball. The Army need to box clever, push more.
A little more promising here for the men in red. They have been this close before, but it was a fumble on the right wing. Oh, great tackle from the Navy, which meant the Army spilled the ball. And it's back with the Band of Brothers.
So you hopefully see some of the backs come in here, try and get the boys out of their red zone, give the forwards a bit of breathing space.
The hand-to-hand just looks a lot slicker than it did last week. And maybe it's got a lot to do with that positional change. Maybe it's just time in camp, I don't know. So we're into the last 10 minutes here of the first half of Inter-Services Rugby League Week 2. Army versus Navy. Brady Lee Butler again showing what he can do.
Fantastic footwork, really late at the line as well, and it's just earned them an extra 10 metres.
They're really using the whole pitch as well. It's really good to see.
Yeah, but they're using it after 2 or 3 off
Right.
the forwards, whereas last week it was just straight to that.
Got you. Oh,
That is not what you want to see as a fullback.
no, but really well dealt with there by
Yeah.
Jake Boardman. Happy
Really well
birthday,
done.
Jake.
Yeah. There's a nice
Here's-
present for you.
Yeah, exactly. Here's a face smash for you.
Yeah. But it's a good kick option from James Tilley as well. He's not looking to put it on the floor. He's putting it as high as he can with that spiral kick. They're awful to defend.
Yeah, and Jake Boardman lucky to come away with that without an injury, but he's up. Just another example of Tilley's game management, isn't it?
He's definitely stepped up this week.
Yeah.
And I think the positioning for him, that's a really good kick. No.
Into masses of space.
Yeah, just the position change for him. I think it's the right thing. Bit of an old.
Oh, spilled by the Royal Navy, and the Army have capitalised.
We need the scramble. You can see
Yes.
Ben working hard to get back.
And they're using the width here, but the Navy are back in. Oh, he's going to power his way over. Oh, that's a score, I think.
Yeah, he did well there. He
Yeah,
did
well done, the Army. The ball is down, and the Army are on the scoreboard.
I don't know if it's just the moisture in the air or what, but there's quite a lot of drop ball from the Navy.
Yeah.
You know, they're getting the ball, they're starting to run and then dropping it. Bit of a strange one. It might just be the conditions.
Rachel Robertson, who was co-commentating on the women's game and obviously plays for the RAF, and she was doing the line judging for the academy game. She said it's quite slick out there.
Yeah.
So I think you can see the mist is descending again. And I think that's probably created a few fumbles. But the Army are back in the game. They've got a long way to get back, but they are back in the game thanks to a try here on the right wing. It was a lovely ball out.
I think the only positive there from a Navy perspective is that it came from an error and it came from broken play. If that had come from a really solid set of 6 from the Army and they've done us one-on-one on the outside, I'd be disappointed. But you kind of say, okay, we'll just scratch that. It was an error. Put it to bed. He's missed the kick. Let's make sure that we get them pinned in their 20 now, and let's just finish the set and get to a good position, and then that'll settle the nerves a little bit.
I mean, that it was great to see the Army capitalise there, but it came from a Navy mistake and not from Army pressure. So
yeah, exactly. So you'd be okay with that.
Yeah,
it's never good to concede like that, but you'd scratch it. They're subbing Ben, so they're going to bring on some fresh blood here. So hopefully they can get a bit more dominance back. We'll see Tex start to settle back into the game as well.
So difficult kick there for Michael McDonald from the Army, and it didn't go over. So it is 4-22 here in the first half of Army versus Navy Rugby League. And we are at Craven Park, home of Hull Kingston Rovers.
One of the guys going off for a blood bin there, checking his nose.
He's got a bung up his nose.
Yeah, that comes with the territory.
Yeah. The Army then will have taken a bit of confidence from that last score. They've got a long way to go. They are 4 points to 22 down. But we've seen it happen before.
Happened in the rugby union,
Yes, don't.
Yeah, they went all that time, and then the last, I think, what was it? The last play of the game?
It was literally the last play of the game, and they only won by 1 point.
Yeah.
Oh, that was heartbreaking.
It was.
And I'm not saying I'm a Navy supporter, but that was heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm.
Even as a neutral. The Army then trying to use that momentum from the score. Jake Boardman unfortunately colliding with his own player.
I would probably suggest that was a bit of obstruction from the Army.
Oh dear, okay, but not been picked up.
Not being picked up.
Good safe hands there from the Royal Navy, and he actually had probably a bit too much space to run.
Yeah, the Army definitely looked tired.
Mm.
You can see, I mean, that was a good shot, but you can see there's dog legs in the defence, and the Navy are just stepping off into those holes. They're getting the front in every single play of the ball. I'd be really happy if I was Ben. Was that a forward pass, was it?
Well, I mean,
he's pulled him for it.
Do you know what? We've probably got the best view in the house up here.
No comment.
No comment, which means he doesn't believe the ref. But scrum time here. There'll be an Army put in. right on the halfway line here at Craven Park. Who's your Super League team, Richie?
To be honest, I don't have one.
No?
I just love the game. You know, I watch anything.
Yeah.
Actually, quite enjoying NRL at the moment. NRL's
Okay.
they're in the playoffs at the moment.
Yeah.
Semis. Had a really good game yesterday.
The Army have got width here. The Army have got width. Oh, but it's a bit messy. Boardman fighting off 3 Navy.
Good scramble there though from the Navy defence.
Brilliant.
I just don't think the Army, once they get in position, they don't really have any clear shape or anyone really pushing the players around.
4 on 1 there. And the Army just before half time. Will they get another score to take them into the break?
Well, they've got numbers here if they use it
they've
properly.
got wide.
The Navy need
Boardman's
to scramble.
got legs there. He's going to go himself.
Really good defence.
Got brought down. Brilliant defence.
Really good defence. And that's half time.
There we go. So, half time here at Craven Park between Army senior men and the Royal Navy senior men. We're at the home of Hull Kingston Rovers, and the score is 4 to the men in red, to the Army, and 22 to the Royal Navy. I know the score, well, probably in this instance, does actually tell the story of the half, doesn't it?
Definitely, yeah. The Navy have earned the right to put the points on the board. They've worked into the right places. The halfbacks look a lot more settled. The pack are really giving them yardage. They're winning quick play the balls, and that converts to points. Pressure means points in rugby league, and at the moment the Army just don't have the pressure, and they've scored from a very fortunate position. But the Navy really look smart today. I'm really impressed at the way they turned this around.
It's interesting, isn't it? I mean, in a way, is the pressure almost off from them because they lost last week? And they've sort of maybe relaxed a little bit. I don't know.
I would say so. Yeah, they know that they've got to put some points on the board, but the pressure's off. It's just like, let's just throw everything at it, and what will be will be. And Ben will be thinking the same.
Yeah. So half time here. Thanks to Richie for joining us and saving my bacon. And hello to Brownie. And I'm really sorry that you had to be a dad today and take your son to the dentist. But so glad that Richie Metcalf, ex-Royal Navy player, is here to join us. We're going to go and just have a little break now, but we'll leave you with some monumental tries from Interservices Rugby League over the years, and also a little bit about what's going on in the forces sporting world wherever you are. But do join us again for the second half.
Hello, I'm John Knighton, and this is In Case You Missed It. RAF officers Amy Cockayne for England and Sarah Bonner for Scotland played pivotal roles in a highly successful weekend against top international rugby opposition. Cockayne starred as replacement hooker, gaining her 76th international cap as England beat New Zealand 24-12 at the Allianz Stadium, Twickenham, their 17th unbeaten match since the Black Ferns beat them in the 2022 World Cup final. They'll meet again on October the 8th in Canada at the WXV1 finals, where England are defending champions. Bonner played a pivotal role for Scotland as they demolished Fiji, running in 9 tries in a 59-15 win at the Hive Stadium, in the first ever meeting between the two teams. Scotland are looking to defend their WXV2 title. Staying with rugby union, and Royal Navy scrum half Will Wrigglesford has signed for English Championship side Cornish Pirates. The 26-year-old, who scored a try for the senior service in this season's Army-Navy match, serves as an engineering technician. He skippered the Royal Navy Sevens side this season and has represented the UK Armed Forces. The halfback joins Pirates following a successful trials period with the team. Royal Marines boxer George Crotty has announced he's stepping back from the Great Britain squad after 7 years with the team. Crotty has more than 50 fights to his name, and in his 7 years at Sheffield he's collected 7 gold medals, including the Eindhoven and Algarve Box Cups, but twice just missed out on Olympic selection. Announcing his decision on his Instagram page, Crotty said his time with the squad was the best 7 years of my boxing career. Big thanks to the GB coaching and support team and to the Royal Marines and Navy for giving me the opportunity, because if it wasn't for them, none of this would have happened. British Army officers Kat Matthews and Rosie Wild are among the 52 athletes competing this weekend in the World Ironman Championships. They take place on Sunday in Nice in the south of France. They'll begin with a 2.4-mile swim in the Mediterranean, followed by 112 miles on the full gas bike course, and finish with a full 26.2-mile marathon. The total distance, 140.6 miles. Kat is aiming for her first world title. She currently sits 5th in the Ironman Pro Series standings.
Sunshine greeted the players in Nottinghamshire, and it was a bright start for the RAF with a try in the opening minutes, followed by this score from Light Blue skipper Tom Quainton. His deputy, Vice-Captain Kieran Jenkins, then goes over the whitewash in a dominant first half for the military side. Nottingham Trent University brought some pace of their own, but were unable to make it count before the break. 28-0 the half-time score. The RAF, hoping for some tough opposition before their inter-services later this year, were hit with this move through the backs, much to the delight of the university support. But the Light Blues stole the show thanks to tries like this breakaway effort from hooker Chris Williams. 47-12 the final score, and the RAF under-23s now look ahead to a clash with Cambridge University on the 6th of October.
We've come to the Defence Science and Technology Labs to take a look behind their normally sealed doors.
The attack is a wake-up call.
It's about controlling, about what's happening, and then reacting to what they're throwing at us.
This is where the force's strongest push their bodies to the max.
At the end of the set of 6, but a great challenge opportunity for the Navy to take an early lead, and they are over. Well, that was a great bit of play there. An opportunity for the RAF that are going to go through for the try, and it is Will Lamont on his debut for the RAF has scored the try. Can they get this try? Can the RAF hold them off? Ball spread in field. Nice, lovely play from the Army. And surely it's going out onto the far side, and in there, number 5, in for the try. It is Uriah Ndolusala who has scored the try for the Army. He has levelled the match at 14-all.
Prescott to great run. What a run! Yeah. Wow.
Great football, and that there, if you really looked at that was a great carry from Kilner. Yeah. Found the floor, quick play the ball, good shape, well organised Royal Air Force team there, and the centre.
Not a bad option from Brown.
And that is brilliant stuff, and that is going to be a try for the Army. That is a wonderful try from Berese Corey. Ball goes out wide onto the right. This is a great run now from Ben Taylor, the captain, rather, from their number 9, from Tilly. Still going, the Navy. Oh, they're in for a try, and that is a fantastic third try for the Royal Navy.
Yes, and welcome back to Craven Park. I'm Kath Brazier, and I'm joined again for the second week running. I'm surprised he hasn't got sick of the sight of me yet, but Richie will be saved from this next week, but all the pressure is off for you next week because obviously it's Army RAF, but as a Navy man, you're a happy man at half-time, I think.
Yeah, I'd be happy. Bamps would be happy as well. I think he'd be saying to the players, more of the same, please. You know, use their footwork, control their play, the ball, get them onto their backs. Army, you'd want to be saying, use your size, get some physical dominance and try and go up in numbers because it just seems to be one up and there's no real shape.
See Army then going right to left here in the second half of Inter-Services Rugby League. And they did get on the scoreboard late on in that first half, but they are 18 points per half. It's 4-22 and the Royal Navy are in the ascendancy, so they just need to keep that pressure up, maintain that pressure and momentum, and the scoreline at the minute would be a really good margin for to go into next week if the scoreline stayed the same.
Yeah, I think we were
which is unlikely.
I think we were 4 down on the RAF, and so we're 18 here. So yeah, we need to. I'd want another couple of tries if I'm honest.
Yeah, do some quick maths.
Yeah, do some quick maths. I want a couple more. I'd want a couple more tries, and I'd want the Army to do a job next week on the RAF. But keep it within 10 points, please, and then and then we're winners.
I don't think they're going to do you any favours. I think it's every man for themselves and every lady for themselves in this tournament, as it should be, of course.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that the Army Rugby League team, like every other Army team, will be confident that they can bounce back and reduce this deficit. But the Navy did look the better team in the first half, very organised.
Yeah, great, really good tackles there. They're getting them on the backs. It doesn't matter what size you are, as long as if you're on your back, you can't play the ball, and I just keep doing that, Navy.
Brodie Lee Butler there on the defence, and like you said, Richie, having a much better game of things than he did last week.
Yeah, it was unfortunate to lose Ben Taylor early in the last game. Meant they'd had to move Brodie out to the centre, which isn't his natural position.
Made such an impact in the Inter-Services last year. He really was one of the standout players for the Royal Navy in their winning campaign of 2023. And at the moment, having lost to the RAF, the Navy have definitely bounced back as the Army go for yeah, that would have been knocked nearly very flare on the right wing there from the Army, but couldn't quite consolidate what was a pretty good kick.
Yeah, it was the right option.
Yep.
Yeah, they had numbers, and you saw Dax backpedaling.
Yeah.
Backpedaling and
couldn't
trying to catch that ball.
Couldn't quite reach it.
It's really, really hard to do, and so I'm really happy that the Army guy just flew at it. He didn't really have any composure there, because if he'd have got that, he was.
I think Dax did his job. I think he put him off.
Yeah.
Just flailing arms put him off.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. Save some Navy points there. The mist has receded a little bit. It's been doing that all day, toying with us. But actually, pretty perfect weather, I'd say. It's not, it's not too hot. It's not too cold.
No, I did ask a few of the guys earlier. What's the pitch like? The pitch is in really good nick.
Yeah.
For me, with my
not
complexion, this
we
is
struggled,
a perfect day.
We struggled in Portsmouth in the sun.
Yeah. Oh, he's got the penalty there. The Army are trying. They're trying to assert some dominance in the tackle and work the player onto his back, but they're targeting the wrong areas and they're not wrestling in the right way. And that was probably a 50-50 call, but we'll take that one.
There's a little bit of conversation between the two opposing sides, which I love to see.
Yeah, there's always a bit of...
a few words spoken.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, certainly what the Royal Navy can't afford to do is just sit back on that lead, because the Army will come at them. But definitely looks like they've come out here with as much energy as they had in the first half. And of course they've got a really healthy bench to work with.
Yeah, they're getting to the right shape. They're going through the halfbacks and finding holes. That's unfortunate.
That was unfortunate, because Tilly doesn't miss those, but possibly a little bit too far forward for him to get.
No, but the shape was right. They've come back to the middle and they've tried to squeeze the Army defence in tight and gone for a wider pass to get on the edge off that play of the ball, but the pass wasn't great. I think Tilly probably didn't anticipate it floating as much.
Yeah.
He's putting his hand up saying, I'll take that on the chin. But it was good shape. It's the right thing to do.
He's got more padding on his chin.
There's good numbers in the tackle there as well.
Yeah, the Royal Navy really committing to this. They do not want this lead to slide at all. Oh dear. I think
that didn't look good
we got an elbow in his face from his own player. We've got a Navy player down at the minute. So
I think that is Brownie.
It is Brownie,
He's a tough
yeah.
lad. I think it was probably an ankle. It looked like
Oh,
he
was
twisted
it?
quite
Okay.
badly in the tackle.
I thought he got an elbow in the face, but he's up. Oh, he's up. He's not missing out on a minute of this game.
Lad. He'll be all right.
The Army then in possession. Boardman's still on. Lovely kick forward, but really well defended by the Royal Navy.
Yeah, it's a good kick. It's the right option. It's putting them in a corner and it's forcing them to have to run out, which is the right thing to do.
I wouldn't say the Navy are smothering them, but they certainly seem to be across what the Army are playing.
Yeah, they're a bit more wise to what's going on. They weren't last week. I think that's a head knock and probably a blood injury.
Okay. Tilly looks like he's just telling his guys to calm it down a bit.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, just settle into it.
Yeah, there's blood injury there. It's Connor, isn't it?
Yeah, it's old fullback. We don't want to lose him.
No, he's slotted quite a few goals home, so just get a little bit of attention there. Ben Connor on the sidelines.
I think he's pulled the penalty as well. I think
the
player slid in on his knees. Yeah, he's pointing to his knee there. So that's a Navy penalty, and it's a let off for us, really.
Well, when you're playing well, the luck sometimes does swing your way.
Sometimes, yeah. And let's hope it continues.
I mean, we did need Brownie for a bit of balance.
Yeah, I did get picked up at half time by a few friends. I'll try.
It's very difficult when you've been part of the community, and probably are to a certain extent still.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
you don't leave it, do you?
It stays with you.
I do appreciate that. Dave Brown then barrelling runs. He's shaken off any injury that he.
He's a strong lad. That was a test, and he's passed it. I think he's all right. It's good to see the Navy getting numbers, getting push, and getting a lot of metres off to play the ball. Army is slowing us down a bit more, which is good for them.
Butler then, his dancing feet, and it takes 3 of them to take him down. Bared out to Tilly. Thought he was going to kick it again then, but got it out wide.
Fifth and last here, you probably want to see a nice high kick into the corner. If I was Birdie,
that's
the
wrong
for
decision,
me, that's the wrong option, to be honest. He had
Yeah.
numbers out wide. I would have gone with that kick. There was a really tight Army defence.
Yeah.
I just don't think he had the comms from his players around him.
No, that was a grubber kick that didn't quite come off.
And then an offside.
It's the Army then with a fresh set. Looking at the comments, I think it was Mitchie that went over for the Army for their singular score so far. And the Army have brought it back into their opposition's half. .422. The Army effectively the home side for this fixture at Craven Park, home of Hull Kingston Rovers, of course, in this great City of Culture winner, I believe. Hull, winner of in the past. But very strong.
Fantastic.
Very strong rugby league blood up here. Mistake there by the Army.
I'm just not sure if the Army actually have any proper kind of generals on the pitch. You know, you can see guys, you see him getting angry there because he's
with
not
his own team.
He's just not getting directed around the pitch by his halfbacks or his hooker. He shouldn't have to be taking that ball in that position. And I think he's saying to them, look, come on guys, wise up. It shouldn't be him there.
I mean, that is the Army captain, Ryan Watkin, there having a word with the side, but it didn't look like a happy word. No words of encouragement.
Sometimes it needs to be that, you
Absolutely.
know. You do need a bit of a shake every now and then. And
no, this is the most brutal game I know. So you've got to be brutal with words too. Yeah. And that worked for the men in red. Watkin there in the blue boots. Scrum then for British Army, but they are still 4-22 down here. And we're into the 51st minute here. In the very centre of Hull, in the heartland of rugby league. I'm sure the Northwest would probably disagree with me, but lovely,
I would say so, yeah.
Lovely scything run there.
Yeah.
And the Army really desperate for a score here. They've got a long way to go.
Yeah, we have numbers here if they spread early, but they come back inside, probably the wrong option.
Another wow.
I can see what he was trying to do. You know, the Navy did look like they were slow in drifting, but they had numbers outside, and they had the Navy scrambling.
But he'd also dropped the ball, and then he was sort of angry and.
Yeah, he dropped the ball because the pass was quite poor, to be honest.
Yeah.
They dropped it back in because they felt as though the Navy weren't drifting in defence. But the drift was on outside and they were scrambling. If you had that player straighten up and go back against the grain, so to speak, I think he would have found a weak shoulder and probably got in himself. But you know, it's old heads that you need in that position to just settle the game a little bit, and they're pushing too much. I think they're scrambling to try and score points.
Well, that'll be it, because I mean they desperately need them.
Yeah.
Not just, you know, because of this situation, but they've got a second game next week, and they don't want to be going into a game versus the RAF with such a large winning margin and losing margin against the Navy. But plenty of time still here remaining. A good 25 minutes of this game still to play. But the Royal Navy are back in possession. Tilly then. Ben Connor with his head strapped up with a blood injury, but still playing on.
That's unfortunate.
Talking about margins, that's a pretty small one there.
Yeah, you can see what he was trying to do, but I think he needs to go through the hands because he left his winger with,
that was,
2 or 3 people on him flat with absolutely nowhere to go.
Yeah.
Pushing it maybe too much. This is always a really strange period in the game. That that 10 minutes
quarter.
after half time, people trying to find out what's left in the tank from the the players who are still on. You'll see some players come off the bench soon after probably about another 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's always a strange time of the game. You don't want to concede. And you don't want to be giving away penalties like that, because it just builds the ascendancy for the Army. And this is what they want. This is a let-off for them. And the referee's saying to the Navy guys there, release him, let him go, because the Army are actually trying to play the ball a lot quicker this half.
Yeah, I would say the only failing on the Army side in the last 10 minutes has been that desperate push for points has probably
absolutely
probably played out against them, but actually they are getting to run the ball at the moment. Lovely hands there from Boardman. Oh,
great tackle.
Brilliant tackle from the Navy.
Tackle.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if he's pulled him for a penalty there.
He's going to have a word with the line judge. I think he was closer, something about a shoulder. Scrum.
Yeah, scrum Navy, good.
Yeah. Scrum for the Navy. Yeah, just when you think the Army are back in it. Navy have woken up.
I think we might have a head injury here.
Yep. That's Watkin actually who's down, the Army captain.
I think if you watch it back, he got bamboozled by by Brodie's footwork. Brodie stepped out and then back in on him, and it caught him flat-footed, and that's what allowed Brodie to get through that first tackle. It's been a really good good showing from him with his footwork, late footwork at the line. It's really hard to defend when you set yourself expecting to be lining shoulder to shoulder, and they step you, and just makes you look silly, to be honest. But
well, Watkin is back on his feet, and the Army need their captain if they're to make any inroads to the Navy's substantial lead here at Craven Park. And we are approaching the last quarter of this match here. And as it stands at the minute, Richie, really, looking at the scoreline, the Navy have done their job, but the last thing they want to do now is, accept where they're at. They've got to keep pushing.
You've got to keep pushing. Go back to what worked in the first half, and this is
exactly, yes.
It's just so hard to defend.
That was definitely on Tilly's memo sheet today, wasn't it?
Definitely. I think the wind helped the Army there. It's gone dead, so it'll be a tap 20 by the Army. Navy are set in D. You'll take that as a completion. That's fine from the Navy's point of view, but you'd rather have them pinned in their own 10 metre.
The Army then looking for something special. Oh, lovely. Oh, and they've got space here. Oh, lovely interception. Ben Connor The fullback saving the day for the Royal Navy.
That was cool as a cucumber.
Wow.
He didn't jump. You could see the attacker taunting him, just stabbing the ball, wanting him to commit to a tackle. He didn't commit, and he waited right till the last minute.
I'd given the Army the points then. They were odds on.
I was about to say he's in.
Yeah. And they had more options,
he had
to
two
be fair.
men outside him, he had one in, and
yeah.
Connor's just done absolutely incredible there.
So that knocks the head. It's obviously not affected Ben Connor's performance. So good for the Royal Navy.
Might have recalibrated.
And the Army missing chances in every area of the pitch, unfortunately for them. And they are still 4-22. No score yet in the second half. It's been end-to-end stuff.
Looks like the Army's half-back is down at the moment.
More attention needed, so I'm sure the game will be stopped.
Just looking at the body language of the Army here, there's lads walking back, there's a guy down on his knees. They need to change this body language. They're not out of this game. They've just proved there that you know they're bouncing people off tackles and making yards. They need to change the body language.
Yeah, they're looking dejected, and maybe now's the time to make those changes.
Yeah, the Navy certainly are. Brody's, I think they've just swapped Brody off. Looks like Ben Taylor's back on.
Okay.
And the Army I think they're definitely changing the halfbacks there. No, Brody's staying on actually.
Army Navy then here, the rugby league version at Craven Park in Hull. On what appears to be a fairly slick outfield, but maybe a little the mist that's been hanging around all day. Connor with a lovely take for the Royal Navy, and he'll feel buoyed by his interception in the last couple of minutes.
Yeah, and it's a good return as well. We're back to halfway. That's good. I think that just shows that the guys have got a bit of confidence to run it.
The Army very much in defence at the moment, as they look to prevent any more of a Navy score. Navy, of course, would be delighted with this scoreline, but with 20 minutes remaining, they cannot afford to be complacent.
No, I think you want them to score one more try at least.
Tilly Backen has a lovely run. And has he got the legs? He has. Another score for the Royal Navy. Another try. That's number 5.
Just textbook play. Really, really, really clever play. You've got the fullback coming up, getting us back to halfway line. The Navy have worked to a channel. They worked to this right-hand side channel. They went through 2 half-backs. And you saw James Tilley go to the line and step over his defender. And as soon as he stepped over his defender, he only had to look, a slight look to the left, because he knew the guy was coming on his left-hand shoulder. And it was just a perfectly timed pass.
It was a really scything run. And, of course, then he still had a defender to take on. I think that we'll credit that to Sean McCurville.
Yeah, but even at the end there, he's having to beat the fullback who has done his job.
Yeah.
He's shot up in defence
Yeah.
to try and make him, make that decision. But it's composure from him who's just sent him back inside and given Connor a nice kick.
Yes, Connor, who's only missed 1 so far, so that's 4 out of 5. For the man who's been bandaged, has intercepted, he's putting in his tuppence for man of the match, isn't he?
Definitely.
Between him and Tilly, maybe at the minute.
Yeah, I'd say so. Brody Lee Butler's been playing well as well, but yeah, Tilly's calmed everyone down here today, I think, and it's been the right choice from Bamps to pull him out and put him into that position. Because you've not lost any anything from from Birdie in at hooker. He's still managing to jump and snipe into holes. Army need a really deep kick and a good chasing defence here, and just pin the Navy in that inside their 20.
But it is 28-4, 4:28. The Army very much behind here, and in very much need of a score. But the Royal Navy, the first to score in this second half. It's been a battle of attrition really since the whistle restarted things 20 minutes ago. But we've got just over 15 minutes remaining.
That's it. You're through that period that's always a bit strange after half time. There's been a few mistakes, a couple of guys dropping balls, and then you get through that moment and you build the momentum again, and you're away.
Yeah. But good to see that the Navy and the Army will battle to the end, as any team in rugby league will do.
Army need to score next, simple as.
They do.
They need to score next, otherwise it could turn completely.
Oh, evading at least 3 defenders there, but it's Army ball, capitalising on a drop pass there.
For the Navy as well, I'd be wary of doing that. Although he had support, he just won 10 extra metres that he didn't he did deserve. He shouldn't have had that. And the Navy need to just realise where they are on the pitch and where they are in the game. They could have just took that play of the ball and played off the back of it.
Yeah.
They seem to be pushing it a little bit too much.
Okay. We've had a message from Sarah Bamford. Let's go Navy. Big shout out from Arthur Bamford, watching in Portsmouth, Royal Navy's biggest fan. And she also says, hi Richie.
Hi Sarah. Good to see Sarah last week and Arthur.
And obviously related to head coach of the Royal Navy.
Yeah. So Sarah's Darren's wife, lovely lass, puts up with a lot.
Well, yeah,
definitely.
She married into rugby league.
Yes, she did. She did. She's a Northern lass herself, so she understands.
Oh, good for you, Sarah. Stick with it. Mickey Hoyles commented, good game so far. Army just need to look up and attack and stop playing a one-man game.
Yeah, it's what we said earlier, Mickey. Yep. Exactly that.
Mickey hopefully will be joining us on comms next week in Wakefield, his hometown.
Good.
We're loving all the ex-players who want to join us on commentary.
It's a community of lads, that you played against, and you play in armed forces GB level as well, so you know each other inside out.
Yeah.
And, you always come to these games and see how they look in a few years on. Who's still in shape and who's not.
Who's got hair?
Who's not?
Who's got hair on their chin as opposed to on their head?
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, BFBS need it because I don't think we have a rugby league player in our midst. So it's good to have the know-how. Tilly again with the high spiralling kick.
Not the best.
Ooh! Sorry, it bounced off the head.
Off his head, yeah. I think that's an unfortunate class of heads there as well.
Adrea Visitoga there taking the ball on the head for the Army, and he's back in possession.
I think we've got a head injury here too.
Okay, we might have a couple actually, a couple of Navy players. Well, it's that time of the game, isn't it? It's when replacements are brought on because the fatigue must be absolutely killing them now.
Yeah, it's horrible. It is. It's really, for a player in the middle, your props and your hookers, your second rows, this time in the game is just awful. You're hanging in there as long as you can to try and give the coach, more of an option towards the end of the game. But if you let the other side see that you're tired, yeah, you're done for.
Yeah, your game's over already.
Several games where people have clicked on Richie's tired, get at him. That's the worst phrase to hear as a player.
So just a little break in play now as we deal with a few injuries. I think there's another blood injury here for the Royal Navy.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to have to go off.
Go off and get patched up. But the Navy confidently ahead here, 28 points to 4. Having lost to the RAF in the first week. The reigning champions, of course, for the last 2 years. So bit of a shock defeat for them. I think last week, although quite honestly, seeing the way the RAF played, it wasn't a shock by the way you played. But when you've been reigning champions for a couple of years, it is always a bit of a shock to be beaten the first game.
When you've come off I think they had a tour to Australia, which they, they whitewashed. They had a really good Challenge Cup game against the RAF as well. It was a shock, but the RAF no doubt deserved to win that game last week. The Navy didn't play well at all.
Spilled by the Army, and it's back in Navy possession. No infringement called by the ref. So the senior service capitalising on an Army mistake there. But very much the Navy's game to this point, and we have got just over 10 minutes left.
That was a really, really big hit on Buck. He stepped and
he looks a bit dazed.
Accidentally gone to ground a little bit.
He does.
I think the ref's going to tell him to.
Yeah,
he stepped and slipped a little bit, and it was unfortunate from the Army's perspective because I don't think he meant to hit him in the head there, but Buck just fell to the ground and I think he's
taking a breather.
Here,
he's.
The ref's
he won't want to. No, he's like, I'm fine.
Yeah, he won't want to go, but.
Yeah, he's telling the ref he's good. He's got 10 minutes left in him. But they are bringing.
I think.
So he's got to have a head injury assessment. Yeah. Ben Taylor then.
He won't want to go off.
Well, look at the way he's sprinting off. I'm fine.
No, he was definitely wobbling at one point there.
Exactly.
And it was unfortunate. I don't think anything that the Army did there was
wrong.
Wrong. Ben just was going to ground as he slipped maybe.
Body on the line. That's what we see in this game. The Army then with one solitary score at the end of the first half, and an unconverted one at that, so it's still 28 points to 4, and it's looking less and less likely that the Army can make a comeback here, Richie. So it's really about the Royal Navy keeping their heads up and definitely not letting them in, and maintaining that large winning margin, which I'm sure was the aim for today.
It would have been. That would have been the call. Score points, bit of free rein, do what you can. It's definitely pulled off.
Ooh. Butler there, taken down by 2. It's just every play, every set of it looks so assured from the Royal Navy.
Yeah, they're going in numbers and they're using footwork, so they're getting over shoulders.
Oh, lovely.
Great
really
hands.
Lovely.
Yeah. It's hard when you're defending and someone steps over you and you've got somebody outside him coming in at speed.
Now that's Jack Basher on.
It's good defence. It was a right choice from Birdie, but good defence.
Yeah. So Luke Baird, they're trying what he did in the first half, which was sneaking one over the line, but the Army were wise to it on this occasion. And so they will attack from practically their own try line.
They need to get to an exit, the Army. They need to get to a kick, and it needs to be deep. For me, I'd be finding grass and making it go deep. I wouldn't want to put it high onto Connor because he's done quite well with the high ball.
Well, made some meters there, the Army. They've got the runners. They've proved that already.
They certainly have. I just don't know if they've got the shape, which they look a bit lost in that position there. You can see Boardman out the back just asking for the ball.
Because he wants to punt it forward.
Yeah.
That's a great...
It's just sheer size, that's what that is.
Size, yeah. Oh, lovely really tackle though.
Really good defence.
The Army then
they've got numbers if they
that
use
score,
it.
Absolutely.
They've got numbers right if they use it. And
number
that
that is
instead.
the left. But, oh, they've got it. There's another try for the Army. And that came out of seemingly nothing. I mean, we thought we'd see a kick into the deep, but actually they had the runners.
It was a missed tackle in the middle. That's all it was. And then, they they used the size that they've got. I think it's the first time that they've actually used the size that they've got in the pack. And then they had 2 or 3 guys off the back of him going in numbers.
Peter Moku there with the score for the Army, and that puts them at 8. And this will be a pretty tough kick for Boardman from the left wing. But I mean, I didn't feel like that was coming, but we knew that the Army had it in them.
They do have it in them. They just didn't look like they had the shape.
No.
I think what that showed is that the Navy have probably starting to get a little bit tired in the middle. They fell too easy off that tackle. There was 2 guys fell off on their backs, and then they get a quick play of the ball and spread it left. I was calling it for right, but I think they did the right thing in the end. He'll do well to get this kick, but it's on his right side.
Birthday boy Boardman, but that is
unlucky.
Yeah, slightly to the right of the post, so the Army's score remains at 8. The Navy with 20 points to the good, with 28 points here as we enter the very final 8 minutes of this matchup.
Not sure if there's a Navy player down. Can't quite see who that is.
Well, I'm pretty useless without the numbers, to be honest.
No, I need my binoculars.
Yes.
It looks like he's getting... No, I think they are making a change there. Yeah, they've made a change.
Yeah. So, people falling by the wayside in this final 10 minutes.
It's been
tough.
tough.
On the ground from Tilly.
It's been tough. The Army are no slouches.
No.
That's a great result for the Navy. I can see why he chose that kick. Because he wanted to get the ball back. He put it low. Maybe not the best execution, but you'll take that when the Army guys knock it on.
Yep. And actually, it was knocked on in the tackle as well. So. Jack Bartlett for the Royal Navy with a put in at the scrum. And a full set here for them in their own half. The Navy then still seeking a score despite being 28-8 up. They will not stop until that final whistle, and we're into the last 5 minutes here at Hull Kingston Rovers.
I think they've got numbers left. They'll probably want to spread it left now.
Yep.
Maybe take one to the middle and jump off the back of it. But
yep.
I think that's what they're doing there.
Yep.
So they'll take one to the middle and you look to try and get it nice and wide and just go through the hands. Not the best of passes.
Until he deals with it though. Nice. Oh, defended
so
well by the Army.
May well be back to 1. Yes, it is. So
it is.
0 tackle because the Army played at it. So just a bit of composure here from the Navy.
Lady Luck is with the Navy boys tonight.
Yeah.
But they've played better. So in that sense, they do deserve it. Tilly then, ever involved in this match here.
Just settle down, jump and put Brownie into the middle. There we go.
There he is. Yeah.
And then it gives you an option to play off the back of it. You're in the middle, you can take it left or right. It looks like they're going to go right. And you just want numbers in motion. And that's what you've got there.
Oh, lovely roll. What a lovely roll. Was that Butler?
That was Brodie Lee Butler.
Yeah, Brodie Lee Butler there with a score for the Royal Navy. And they are just adding insult to injury here at Craven Park. The Royal Navy now 32 points to the Army's 8. And this has been a pretty dominant performance. I mean, it took ages for anyone to score in the second half, but when the floodgates opened, both teams have scored, but the Navy definitely in the ascendancy.
Yeah, it came from a platform that they built there. You know, they pulled Brownie back into the middle, which gave them some space. And when the play of the ball happened, all you need to do is jump out at the defenders and have 2 or 3 guys coming at them on the outside in real pace, in angles, and you've got no chance as a defender. And that's exactly what Brodie did. And not only did he do that, he made a second effort off the back of the tackle. He's worked himself out of the tackle and scored, and we've got the conversion as well. So the points that we were looking for our what's the word? Our rescue plan. It's coming. You know, we just
the rescue plan has started.
Yeah, we need the RAF Army to do a job next week.
Well, I wouldn't be. I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? Like the score's the margin's so big, but that doesn't mean we can predict what, you know. It doesn't mean that the RAF are going to have the same game.
The Army might come out next week and do a Royal Navy. You know, that's what, and it's the same it's the same in the Union as well.
Yeah,
you know, you just never know what you're going to get on the day with both sides.
That's why we use that word complacency so much, because it is a killer of, you know, those. If you've any kind of complacency that comes into either of those games, and you might as well write it off as a loss.
That last line out for the Navy.
Yeah.
I think it was the Navy's line out.
Yeah.
You know, and the Army stole the line out and just tapped it down to a winger who's gone the full length of the pitch. I think
they'll even admit that, you know, their game's over as far as
there's guys who, you know, I'm still close to who would admit that, you know, they just switched off.
So just the last couple of minutes here to play at Craven Park. The Navy not adding to that score out on the wing, but it is. In fact, we should have gone up, to 32. I've lost the score a little bit now.
So he did get the conversion?
He did.
Yeah, he did get the conversion.
Yeah. So actually the score should have gone up to 34, shouldn't it? 34-8.
Just hoping we'd do the right thing here and just score.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Nice little, well, I say consolation try, but yeah, the Army heads are down now. They're all on their haunches. They know they've lost, and the Navy are.
I think Brownie's going to dine out on that run for about the next 10 years.
Well, do you know what? He deserves it.
Do you know, for a big guy, he's got a lot of pace, and he did really well there as well to just a bit of composure and get the play of the ball. Brodie's caught it flat and stepped back inside as well, which was really clever, because sometimes there's a tendency to try and push it and go over the man. Brodie did the right thing, and we capitalised off the back of it. Connor's got a tough kick to make, but I'll back him.
I mean, I would say James Tilley, Ben Connor and Brody Lee Butler probably three picks for man of the match. Are you going to call who you would give? I mean, I'm just saying from a BFBS point of view, because I don't think we have any influence on the people downstairs. But
I'll say notable mentions. Brownie's had a stormer,
an
absolute stormer, and as a prop myself, I can really appreciate what he's done here. Connor, for me though, is just, nailing kicks, decisive in defence, last man, taking interceptions, and his kick returns have been fantastic as well.
Yeah.
Jake Tilley really, really calmed them down in the middle. Brodie Lee Butler has had a great game out the back. But for me, I would pick Connor. He's played fantastic today.
The tall man at the back with the plastic headband. So Ben Connor, he's had a great game and reliably getting things between the posts, and it is 40 points to 8 here, with the Army not even making it to double figures here. The Royal Navy absolutely wiping the floor with them here in this last 10.
Just need to slow it down now. Do what the RAF did to us last week. Slow the play of the ball down. Be sensible. Get to a kick and just eat up the clock now. That's Ben Taylor back on.
Excellent, because we need him to do a post-match interview. The Royal Navy then just playing for time now, because there's no way back for the Army. There hasn't been for a while, to be honest. And the senior service, the Band of Brothers, and as he's been doing all game, Tilley, yes, confusing the Army there with the ball back, but well recovered actually by the Army fullback.
Yeah, he's done well. He's had a lot of pressure there from Dax. Done well to get out and get to the 10-metre line.
Oh, but spilled again in the tackle. The Navy will love that. If that's their last play of the game, they will love that.
It just shows that the guys still want to play.
Yeah. It's funny, they talk a lot, it happens in rugby union, they talk a lot about celebrating little moments like that. I like to see it.
Yeah, I love to see it.
Because that's why
you do it, it's
that's
a bit of psychology.
It's a game plan as well.
There's a subtle line, there's celebrating with your teams, and then there's goading the others. I don't like to see the goading for me, but celebrating and giving your player, your teammate a pat on the back, all for that all day long.
But if you're not someone who scores points, if you're in the pack, you're going to celebrate those because your way of winning a game is turnover and
exactly that.
In the tackles.
Yeah.
So there you go. There's my little rant for the day. I like to see it.
So I think you've got looks like the Army
was upended.
Yeah.
So Navy.
He's done the right thing there.
Oh,
slow the game
down. Going for the
goal. Yeah, just take the sting out of the game. We don't need to push it. Take the sting out of the game. Take the points. Are they giving it to Jack Basher?
They have, because Connor stepped away.
They'll give it to Bash on his last ever game.
Oh, there you go.
Let's hope he gets this.
Come on, Bash.
Yeah.
No pressure.
No pressure,
You're
Bash.
only 40 points to 8 up.
Yeah. I think Connor's saying to him, are you sure? Okay.
This could be his defining moment. Bash then. Jack Basher. And it's over.
Last play of the game.
Well done.
Conversion. Last ever game. Yeah, well done.
Well, is that...
That's it. That's time.
2 points.
2 points.
2 points
2
for a
points.
draw. I'm so unused to seeing them in this version of it. 2 points. So, yeah, it's over. I'm very sorry. Bash had the final say of the game. We're having such a celebration of his defining moment of his career there. But the Navy have run away with it here in the end, 42 points to 8. And like I said at half-time, I actually do think that score tells the story that the Army, unlike them actually, looked fatigued pretty much from halfway through and just didn't have any answer for what the Navy brought.
I'm not sure they used their size properly. There was a lot of good footwork from the Navy in the tackle. They were getting quick play of the balls. The Army have got size. They clearly showed that in the way that they broke through Navy Navy defenders. But I just don't think they had that general in the middle. And it's kind of like what the Navy had last week. They didn't have that general in the middle to push them around. And you saw Watkins getting a little bit frustrated during the game. They have the bones of a good side here. If they can work on the defensive setup, the kind of overplaying of players, then they'll do well next week. The RAF are a good side. They put numbers into tackles, but the Army have got the size to be able to combat that. From a Navy perspective, you don't get anything better than the way they've just gone out, and I'll be really, really pleased to see this for Ben Taylor.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And as we speak of the outgoing captain and winning captain of this match, Ben Taylor, he is with our reporter Carl Dixon down on the touchline. And yeah, it's brilliant to see. And I'm sad that we won't see Ben Taylor in a shirt again. But let's hear from him now with Kyle.
Well, Ben, that's a great way to end a brilliant career. No one knew this would be the last game until we were dropped in on commentary, but what a way to end.
Yeah, we're obviously very disappointed with how we showed up last week, and I asked for a big reaction off it, boys, and they've given me that today. Obviously, being my final game in a Navy shirt, I've given 17 years to this jersey, and for lads to do that to Army in my last inter-services match and my final game of my career is massive. Yeah, I feel like they've given me that reaction that I asked for.
Pretty impactful scoreline in the end as well. Gives you a chance in the title race. After last week, it was about putting the wrongs right. Now you go in and just hope that it could go your way next week.
Yeah, to be honest, we just said that's out of our hands. We'll control what we can control, put as many points on these as we can, and we've done that. Scored a few good tries, and I think they've got a good chance with how they play of rolling RAF over. So we'll see how they get on next week. Do us a favour.
In terms of your career then, I mean, you've, as you say, so many years in the game, particularly with the Royal Navy. You've seen highs and lows. I know you've got a way for words, and I'm not going to drop you exactly on the spot, but how would you sum it up?
Yeah, like I said, the lads have reacted exactly how I wanted them to react. I won't quite say it's a fairy tale ending with what we did with Raf last week, but yeah, the reaction today, I couldn't have asked for much more, and my daughter and my wife and my mum and dad are all here to see it as well, so yeah, it means a lot. It's big for me.
And while you're outgoing, a lot of the young players actually really impressed today. What stood out for you?
Yeah, I think the pack, to be honest, we dominated their pack at middle. They're a really big set, physical, but we just didn't let them bully us, put them on the backs, and yeah, we've shown up today.
Well, I'll let you get in with that and get sentimental with them. Thank you.
We've shown up.
We're guilty of having being a bit late up here, Richie, because we wanted to hear Ben Taylor's final words there. I feel like actually he deserves our final few minutes here on commentary, because he's such a big character. I don't know that you get many Ben Taylors in any sport, to be honest. He's so much more than just a captain of a rugby league side.
He's a true gentleman. You know, away from the pitch, he's a father.
Yeah.
He's a very, very shrewd engineer. He's well respected in his squadron. He's obviously very, very well respected outside of the rugby league, Royal Navy Rugby League, in rugby league circles. He's just a real top guy. You know, he's one of those guys that you want to go out with and sit and talk to and have a pint with and listen to him all day long. He's going to be a huge loss, but what he's done for Royal Navy Rugby League, I don't think it'll ever be surpassed.
Yeah, and I toured with him when the UCAF went out to Australia in 2017, and of course he's really close to the brothers. Oh my gosh, their names. Yes, the Burgess brothers, of course, who are legends in Australia and here.
Yeah.
And he grew up with them and played with them, and he just, again, like Mr. Rugby League.
Well, they were starstruck with this kid in their
Yorkshire
changing
Pros.
room, and all the Aussies were starstruck that Yorkshire Pros was in the changing room doing a pros for them.
Yeah,
and that just speaks to the kind of person he is and the aura he's got, and he does all the work for the Royal British Legion. Yeah, he's just an all-round great bloke.
And will he not think about maybe going into coaching? Staying. You say you never leave that rugby league community, but is it something that I don't know what he's thinking about future-wise, or does he need a break?
I think he needs a break, to be honest, and I think his wife will be happy with that too. He's got a young family. We've got a good coaching setup, so I don't know if Bamps will want to bring him in as a assistant or something like that, but. It's strange when you finish as a player. You sometimes want to stay involved, but it often helps to take that time away and just find yourself again, and then you can dip back in as and when you need to. I don't think he'll disappear for any stretch of the imagination, but
no,
he'll definitely need some time off.
We wouldn't want a personality like that to disappear. We're just waiting. The reason we're hanging around here on commentary is because there will be a trophy presentation, and of course it's a very special one because we've got a rugby league legend that Richie mentioned earlier, who's Buchanan Taylor, who's going to present the winning. So what happens is that there is no obviously winner from today. Obviously the Navy won that match, but that will be decided next week in terms of inter-services. But for every match here there is a cup that is presented, and that's why we're hanging around. You've got to hear our dulcet tones a little bit longer because we want to see this trophy presentation. So finally, look, we talked a lot about Ben Taylor and the impact he's had on Royal Navy Rugby League, but Richie, just generally, I mean, overall very happy with that performance, and definitely with that winning margin, we've said it already, it gives the Navy hope for next week.
It does,
because I don't think the Army are going to do you any favours, but but
stranger things have happened. But for the Navy, they'll be really, really pleased with the way they signed off. They've signed off with a win, but also a huge win, and for them it'll put all the wrongs from last week right. They'll be very happy tonight. They'll go away. They'll have some time off, and they've got a bit of time now. I think they've got a friendly game against St Jude's, Wigan St Jude's. Yep. They might use that as an opportunity to celebrate if the Army do give us a do us a favour next week. But yeah, they'll be happy tonight. It's a good way to sign off for this season, and it's a good one for Ben Taylor as well.
So I'm just going to leave the mics open now so you can listen to the presentation as the Army and the Navy are recognised for this match here today. Of course, the final score 42-8. So that's it from us here on BFBS Forces News. Richie Metcalf, thank you so much again for joining us. Your job is done for the year until we next call you. I'm really sad we couldn't get Kev Brown here today. I'm sure he would have loved seeing a Navy hammering of his beloved Army team. But Brownie, all the best to you and your family, and thank you for joining us on the YouTube live as well. And thank you to everyone who's been watching, and do join us again next week. Next Friday we will be up in Wakefield for the final games in this Inter-Services Rugby League, where the Army will take on the RAF. But that's all from us this week. Thanks to all the crew here in Hull. We've got a long journey home, but we can't wait to see you again next week, and well done to the Navy.
Straight through and under the post, the Army hit back. And it's straight over for a try. Early doors for the Navy. That ball goes out wide. It is going to be another try for the RAF.